So I was gonna log in early to say hi, and then I checked my email, which is like every knowledge worker knows you don't do that. Like, so anyway, here I am a minute late. Big hello to Fred, Trisha, Ruth, Saban, Stroot, hello, to Brian, Suzanne, and Bill. How are you doing, Bill? If you're doing okay after the latest Chargers game. So, welcome. Um, Big hello. So, if you're finding yourself on this wild and crazy live stream and you have no idea who I am, my name is Andrew Leonards. I am a certified mindfulness meditation coach. Folks may know me from the Do Nothing Project, where I am a sometimes guest host and I am a most times moderator. I am a software engineer by training and general nerd, I guess, would probably be the other thing. One of my friends had asked a bunch of people, what do you think my strengths are in a survey of my friends, and one of my friends said, "You're a nerd's nerd." So I feel like that really captures a bit of I'm very fast to send you a link to something or recommend a book. So hello, Lynn. Hello from the future. Hope everything is okay in Australia. Yes, and the Big Lebowski. I just finished Martej Williams' book on Nixon, I think is what it's called. What is it called? I think it's called The Lost Art of Doing Nothing, which is Martej Williams. It's a Dutch book that was translated into English. And The Big Lebowski has like a whole section of one of the chapters in there. So that is like super cool. And welcome to Kirsten. Thanks for stopping by. So what is this grand, fine adventure that we're on a Wednesday? So we're going to do a little bit of something, and then we'll finish that with nothing. So from an expectations setting perspective, there'll be 25-minute sit. I'll have a little bit of a setup preamble that I normally do when I do guest hosting on the Do Nothing Project, where we really set up in posture and then kind of settle in, a little bit of light guidance. And then we'll finish with kind of letting go of the technique. Whatever technique we've sort of picked up for that 18 or so minutes of the 25 minutes, we'll let it go. And we'll see what it's like to have no technique. And part of that is to see kind of the contrast. And it brings us to the spot of like, what is it like when I apply some effort, and what is it like when I just let effort kind of go? And when we let effort go, sometimes we start to see how we're leaning forward. Jeff likes to talk about that, looking for the thing where we're sort of leaning forward for that next breath, or leaning forward. We're going to like catch every single sensation at our home base or something along those lines. Yes, that is exactly the author. Thank you, Ruth. Very fast on that. I can't think. There's another Nixon book that I read. And I say read, but I really listened to it on the audiobook. I struggle with that. Like you say I read the book. You want to say that you read the book so that you look like you're like well-to-do erudite individual, but I listened to the audiobook. So I listened to the audiobook. At one point I was trying to bootstrap a audiobook newsletter because I was listening to so many audiobooks. I wanted to share what I was listening to. So one of these days, maybe that'll happen. Maybe it won't. So let's get back on track. I'm sorry. Crazy thoughts all over the place. So the one thing I wanted to quickly say at the top here before we shift into, I got my fancy Japanese bell. I've got my my thing that will make the bell, or I use to invite the bell. So Saban mentioned I am headed to Argentina or I'm headed to Antarctica through Argentina, and we will depart. Lisa and I will depart in. I haven't figured out how many days it is, but it's so close that I'm in like that oh crap panic moment of trying to get packing lists together and figure out everything I need to do before we leave. So we're leaving on the 7th, and we don't come back until the end of the month. What that means is that I would miss. I don't know if you could fit Savon, but if we could get you in, we would try. So I would miss. So I'll next week I'll guide on the 3rd. That's January 3rd. And then I would have missed the 10th, the 17th, the 24th, and the 31st. But for folks that are on my mailing list, I sent out a mailing today to highlight that Brooke Thomas, who's in the middle of the meditation teacher training through Jack Cornfield and Tara Brock, is going to do 2 of those 4. And then Ralph Andradez, who was one of my teaching assistants and trainers for when I did my certification through Unified Mindfulness, and who now is I believe one of the teacher trainers in Unified Mindfulness's teacher training program, the Compass program. So they're going to do, so there'll be 4. Ralph will do 2, and Brooke will do 2. And then like folks in the community, like Fred and others, will know Brooke. Brooke is a longtime member of the Do Nothing Project community. Brooke also took Jeff's How to Guide meditation course. So those folks will be handling those 4 meditations while I'm out. So you'll see what'll happen is those links will go up, and you'll see those in advance. So I'll make all of the links in advance, and then I'll schedule email reminders to go off while I'm gone. So the beauty of automation, computers taking care of little tasks. So that's super, super cool. And in this week's email, and I will include this in next week's email, Brooke and Ralph both did quick intros, and those videos are included in the email. And so I should tell you one more time, if you aren't already on the list, which I think a lot of you are, send an email over there. I just added someone before we started. And then if you want reminders, also, if you're on Instagram and such, Leonard's Coaching on Instagram. And then folks have been asking, and it's just regular Leonard's, Lenards, on Instagram. And that's my personal Instagram. You'll see that I post a lot of random pictures. I've got like 6,000 something posts. I've been using Instagram for way too long. But that's where I'll have travel pictures when we have internet. We'll be on a boat. Some people have talked about like it's going to be a cruise. It's not necessarily a comfort cruise by any stretch of what we've been able to research. So, but it is definitely like not the Endurance. It's not like a Swedish whaling vessel or anything like that. So, so it's somewhere in between. It's the middle way of getting to Antarctica. One might say, as a bad joke. All right. I have my phone on airplane mode. As always, I like to give a little hat tip to Jeff Groves for that. 25 minutes on the clock. My impromptu theme, which may or may not resonate with Ruth, is here's my red pen. Today's theme is there is nothing to correct. So we can put our metaphoric red pens down. Don't have to correct anything in what's going on in experience. So that's going to be the theme for what we'll play around with. So just some light guidance around that. Basically, a notion of just working with a light home base will be optional. So that's our theme. All right. All right. So, as we always do, just starting with posture and a reminder that you could be standing or lying down or walking if you're walking somewhere. Please keep your wits about you so that you don't get bumped into or anything. But those are all possible options for postures. But I will center around the idea that you're either sitting down in a chair or you're sitting on a cushion on the ground. And we're just looking to find a posture that helps us to be upright but not uptight. So we're not stiff and straining or really efforting to maintain that posture. I want to find a posture that helps the spine be sort of supple, I guess, lack of a better term. And then before we proceed, just checking in to see what's here. Is there any tension? And if there is, it's no big deal. Bring a light attitude, just an acknowledgement that there is tension. And if there isn't, that's great. And finally, a few deliberate breaths. And if you're not sick or your nose isn't stuffed up, we'll breathe in through the nose and breathe out through the nose. And that helps us to get to the tempo the Beastie Boys were talking about, slow and low. And if we can extend the exhale a bit, that's a cue to the body that it's okay to shift into a rest and relaxation state. So to begin, just seeing if we can get a real light touch awareness of being sitting in a sitting posture or in the seated posture. And if that isn't totally available, just seeing if you can feel the body in the space that surrounds it. So that's another way that maybe that resonates a little more. And really just this idea that you're kind of aware of your surroundings, but you're not on guard. You're comfortable in the surroundings. And then as we really kind of arrive, you might feel like you got to kind of sort of settle into that posture a little more. And that's okay. And then just seeing if you can do that with a sort of light acceptance. So really just finding a posture that supports us. We're not sort of correcting or marking off sort of any meditation points here. And so I'll let you explore this spot for a bit or this home base. Just that sense of sitting and knowing that you're sitting. And if that's working for you, you can continue to stay the course and just let what I'm going to suggest or offer kind of be in the background. But just offering another home base. So if you would prefer to shift to sounds, you may have some constant sounds in your environment that are helpful. So maybe a heater vent or a refrigerator, or maybe the clock from my environment. So we can use sounds as a home base. And if we don't feel like the sound gives us enough to focus on, we can always focus on we can always focus on the sound. And then if there's nothing to focus on, we can focus on rest. So if there's nothing to focus, we can call that a rest. Just like in music, when the orchestra stops playing. And if sounds are not a comforting thing to focus on, we can always sort of focus on the body in a more deliberate way. So we can choose to focus on the sensation of the feet on the floor, the pressure in the body in a seated position, or the breath. So 3 options total. That sense of sitting and knowing that you're sitting. So that would be staying the course. Focusing on sounds. And then shifting to the body in a more deliberate way. So I'll let you explore and check in a bit. So hopefully the beeping that some of you are hearing isn't too annoying. I'm not hearing it in my environment, but I'm also seeing the live stream kind of skip by about 4 seconds. So we can turn our attention away from a disturbing sound or disturbing stimulus. Maybe that's eyes open or focused away. Or taking the earbuds out, knowing that you'll hear the bell. Or we can flip and get really interested in the beeping. Or tuning into the tone or separation between beeps. All right, so we'll go ahead and put down that technique and shift over into the technique of no technique. So we're not trying to do anything anymore in the way of focus. We're just letting our awareness concentrate wherever it lands. And then if we notice that we're trying to sort of shepherd or correct where the attention is gone, we let go of that. So shifting into do nothing. Thank you for your practice. Thank you for coming. Thank you for your patience with the technical difficulties. So on my end, I can see the live counter going up like 4 at a time and like 5 at a time. So I think that means that that's that's my signal on my end that things are cutting out. So so anyway, sorry for that. Fingers crossed there will be a new there'll be changes afoot or on the front in 2024 as far as our internet provider. So thank you very much, Lynn. Oh, nice. So you're welcome, Bill. Yeah, I'm wondering if so Drew, you might be right. So um, I've noticed in editing videos, thank you, Saban, in editing videos for the Do Nothing project that when you listen with audio reference headphones, after some period of time, when YouTube hasn't heard anything, it seems like they bump the gain on the broadcast, and so you'll hear the room tone at an elevated level at different points, and then when there's cues again, then it seems like it bumps again, so it kind of messes around with that. So you might be right that the video is seeing no data in that time, and then it kicks it out in that. So I don't know. Yeah, you're incredibly welcome, Ruth. Thank you so much. And Ruth will usually remind me to say, if you haven't already, you should hit the like button. But it looks like pretty much most of you had already done that. So super awesome. And I appreciate that too for folks that you've been coming each Wednesday and then putting up with some of the crazy on and off technical difficulties. So thank you for that. And so I'll be doing one more guidance. Yeah. So Fred, I was thinking about doing Zoom for whatever's. So Zoom seems to have infrastructure that tolerates a connection like my connection much better than YouTube live stream. So I have been thinking about um, doing something along the lines of a format switch, or at least experimenting with formats that are a little more similar. For folks that don't know, the CEC is Consciousness Explorers Club. They do a Monday night sit, and they do that over Zoom. And so I have access to a pro Zoom account, and I could make that happen, I think. So that'd be one situation. And then for pretty much everyone here, you're not in Tucson, but for Strootman might be interested in this. There was some talk at some point in 2024 that I might try to get together a group of meditators here in Tucson in person. So Jeff has always been teasing me about starting CEC Tucson, and so for folks that don't know, I live in Tucson, that's Southern Arizona, and so there's a possibility of that, but yeah, so there's a number of folks I know that are like kind of in the tech world overall, and so that might be a piece. And then for the Zoom thing, the one thought would just be we could experiment with that, and that might give us a little bit of more of an opportunity now that we have kind of a community formed up around. So, even if it's not every Wednesday, maybe it's once a month or something like that. But yeah, so someone had recently suggested that or asked if that would be a possibility in 24, and I think there's a possibility for that. So I think that would be kind of cool. Yeah. So not to and we've I don't want to go super long, but yeah, I really appreciate everyone coming. If you didn't get to make it live and you're seeing this recording and you've watched all the way to the end, thank you. A special thank you to all the recorded viewers. I see the bumps in views, so I know there's folks watching, and I appreciate that. And a couple have reached out, so thank you again, Brian, and have an excellent week. And then my understanding is Jeff is doing the sit on Sunday night, which is New Year's Eve, at least in the Northern Hemisphere, and or I should say in North America. And I think that's everything, hopefully. And then if you didn't already, I think most everyone here is signed up, but my last promo for getting on the mailing list. And I'm manually managing that mailing list. So if you're on that mailing list and I'm sending you too much email, reply and let me know to pull you off. So awesome. Well, have a great rest of your week, and I will see folks from chat on Sunday.